Alright, we're back where we left off, and at this point let's do something different from this menu. So we've done statics and props. Next one is electric. Electric doesn't have a lot of things to choose from. There are phone poles with a box hanging on it, train pole, we don't have any trains on here, and some transformers. Well, most common one would be phone pole, and I think we're going to have a power line go right down the middle of town here. And we may have to rotate it. Yep. So that the wires hang properly. Grid comes in handy if you want it really nicely lined up. But lining up nicely doesn't always look so hot. It doesn't look real. So I don't mind if it goes a little off. Now we're coming here where the power lines will go straight into this building. So maybe we'll tilt them in a different direction. Plus you don't want to go through a building like this. So just line it up with a little tilt to it. And we're going to go over here and put one near the wall where it would in normal buildings be placed. They wouldn't put it right in the middle. And we're just going to have it go from here to there and outside and off into the distance. And notice out here it spawns too. Many other objects will not spawn there and sit in the middle of nothing. Alright, so these are the poles. Now the wires. Because the poles, actually, let's put one of the other poles right here. They're pretty far apart. I like lots of poles for cover, so we'll take one with a box. The box is this thing here, the transformer. Just looks different. Alright, let's just start with wire mode now. See up here, it's easier to read now. We're in planar mode. I don't know what that actually means, but I never change it. Wire mode is the hard part on the whole electrical thing. You need to get to these things where wires actually, see this mouse cursor, where wires actually can spawn, and it's these supposedly porcelain insulators. And once your orb shows up, you hit the right mouse button, and now we have this one. But look, it's drawing a line, and I have to draw that line. See, I'm in the, which one am I? I actually started from the second one on the inside. Alright, I'm going to go into this one. And it snaps to wherever it can. I hit the right mouse button again, and bingo, I have a slack line that I'm going to duplicate. Click somewhere else, orbs back, slide over. As you can see, this really will train you well in flying around the map and using the mouse button, the space bar. Click somewhere, orb, spacebar, fly, orb, click. You can also go back and forth, saves you a couple flights. Just don't get confused with which one you were doing. And fly over. I'm going to complete this guy. You don't have to use all the wires that they can hold. Sometimes on maps there's only 4 instead of 8 strung along. And they don't always have to be perfect. Sometimes they can be ripped from explosions and but most of the time you probably want to build something like this. Now buildings are hooked up too, so this one has a nice transformer box. Let's just hook up this building. And see, I just clicked on top of the surface of the roof from down on the street. That looks like it's going to something. We'll do that on the other side too. Where would it connect? Somewhere up here next to that box. And then maybe this building has a line connecting to this building. Maybe 2 lines. Just click next to it and put a double power line over there. And the more of this stuff you do, the more the whole place looks real. So we'll continue on from here and hook these guys from pole to pole. Now you'll realize now why there's so many maps where nobody puts electrical poles out there. This is pretty hard to do. What's even harder is if you mess up and try to select these things again and try to delete them. You have to try all kinds of things to click on them. To, for example, these guys, if I want to delete them, clicking on this one was easy, but sometimes you can click all day, like I'm just trying right now, and it's just not selecting the second one. But near the end it does. So I think there's something about the ends of these to be selection sensitive. I'm going to do a couple more here. So this should be enough about the electrical thing. You know, I'll sometimes go from these porcelain things that aren't on a transformer and just connect that to a building up high where power needs to be transferred to an actual structure. How about we go in the same corner? Looks like there's something going on where power needs to be branched, and we can run one down. The slack in these lines is automatically calculated. It's always the shorter they are, the more slack they have, the less tension. So you don't have to do anything about that. Oh, see, I just selected something that looked like this orb, but it actually is down here. And if I do this by accident, ooh, maybe I don't want to keep this. I'll just hit delete right away before you deselect it. After electrical, we'll continue on with dynamic. This is a fun one. As you can already see on the right side, it says something about vans. I selected all hollow van, but I don't have an insertion mark. Right mouse button, and it hangs in midair, kind of elastically suspended from my mouse. The mouse wheel will not rotate them, and if you click them, they just drop to the ground. So let's do that again. I'm going to go down. I want to park one here at the end. I'll bring it in, but it's not oriented. I used my cursor keys on the keyboard while they're still floating. Once they sit down, you cannot really turn them. You have to pick them back up. And they do drag on objects, so sometimes, oh yeah, there's this fuel trailer problem. Setting a fuel trailer down, like about here. Do that fast, because if not, they will get really, really bouncy. And then, look at this. I'm not doing anything. That fuel trailer is never going to end up on its wheels unless you're really lucky. And it looks like I am really lucky. But they will never sit where you really want them to. I'm just going to keep it there anyway. I'm going to put a truck on it, because they don't automatically come with trucks. The truck is a separate object. I'm going to put it on the ground. Can't turn it there, so I'm going to lift it up first. Keep it out of the way, because you can bounce these things around as if they actually have physics. They hit each other and push each other around. Okay, so that truck's about right. And I'm going to squeeze it under there. I'm going to just kind of aim it the other way. Keep moving it so it can turn while it's dragging under there. And that's about where it should be. Looks about right. Alright, we got a truck and a field trailer on here. You can put separate trailers on here. Park one back here for unloading. And they always spawn in the wrong direction, it seems. Sometimes you can turn them real fast by just hitting a wall. Drop them, and they'll settle down. Trucks, what else we have? Yellow van. Let's just put a van over here. But yep, you get the idea. These things don't need to be on a map again until much later. If you have a large map, you do this at the very end. It just happened to be the next thing on the menu here. Got another minute and a half, so let's see what kind of vehicles. Black Hawk cover, that's a landed Black Hawk. Oh, why don't we have like a little chopper landing location here? It's probably physically large enough for a chopper to come down, although nobody would really land it that close to a power line, so that makes no sense. We'll put them somewhere else, somewhere back here. But this is not the same object as the Black Hawks that fly. This is just what they call cover, like everything else in here. There's a pan art cover. Where is pan art? Hemmed cover, same thing. It's a vehicle that looks like the ones that we usually see moving, but it never does. It doesn't blow up just as nicely either. Pan art, where are you? There we go. So we got a little military thing going on here. We can add more detail later. But this creates a scene where there could be some fuel barrels and some ammo crates and some soldiers defending that corner. We may make that Zulu. So anyway, this was the next part. I'm going to save this and we'll move on to something else.